Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you guys once again for joining the 990s podcast hosted by yours truly, Kevin Thompson, founder and CEO of 99 Capital Group. Thank you guys for joining. As I always say, subscribe to the channel. As I always say, go and get my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule an appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Follow us on all social media channels at 99cap or at MLB to CFP. And subscribe to our Substack. Now what? So I like to tell you guys my stories, give you guys some financial information. And today we're going to be doing that. We're talking about the Texas two-step and the Texas exemption clause that was passed in 2024, how it's impacting you, why if you own a trust, how you may need to reapply or restate. And this is not the unauthorized practice of law. No. This is just information. So, without further ado, let's get it. So, I like to have some fun. And today we're talking about the Texas two-step. I don't have my boots or my hat on, but I do have a problem. Here's what's happening. Texas has tightened enforcement around homestead exemptions. If the appraisal district questions your eligibility, they can send you notification asking for you to confirm if you still qualify. You'll typically receive one notice. If you don't respond, you'll get a second notice. If you ignore the second notice, your homestead exemption can be removed. And once it's gone, your taxable values move up. Your tax bill increases, and you have to reapply to get it back. And here's where this ties into today's topic. Because one of the biggest triggers for those notices right now, well, outside of they're just trying to make sure that people are alive in the home and the right people live in the home and et cetera, et cetera. That's what they're going to tell us, of course. But when you transfer your home into a trust, that may trigger the removal of the homestead exemption. It usually doesn't, but it could. And here's why. So my parents' house recently lost their homestead exemption, and I got it back for them. I went in there, did all the paperwork, got it back for them, so we're good. It takes 60 to 90 days once you reapply, by the way, just FYI. And the taxes that you've paid will be refunded to you retroactively, so just FYI on that. But here's the catch. I had an old trust that I drafted through our partners, not me personally, but through our partners with wealth.com. We drafted them, submitted them drafted them in 2023, submitted them in 2025. Boom. I ended up moving my house inside of the trust in 2025 as well. Boom. Trying to do everything right, where we remove property, fund the trust, and all of that stuff. Now, this is not the unauthorized practice of law. This is just me telling my story. So, upon reviewing my parents' stuff, going to the appraisal district, I say, hey, just go ahead and check on my residence as well, give them my ID and everything like that. She says, oh, it's still there, but I see that it's not in your name, it's in the name of the trust. So with that being said, we may have to remove it because you need to reapply. I said, well, that's not how it's stated on anywhere I've seen. Well, you have to bring the trust up here, and we have to make sure the language is on point to where everything lines up. Okay, come back the following day, give them my trust. Boom, everything's there except for certain language. And again, I'm going to zoom out for a second. Texas recently passed significant property tax relief. Just let me zoom out for a second. Homestead exemptions increased. School tax burdens reduced. Seniors receiving more benefits than ever, right? We've gone from $40,000 exemption to $100,000 exemption. That's a big deal, but with bigger benefits comes more scrutiny. And why I say that, because here's where we go with the scrutiny. I give them my trust. They start reading it. They're looking for specific language inside of the trust, and it wasn't there. Why? Because this trust was drafted pre-tax change. It's a Texas trust drafted pre-tax change. So I had to restate my trust, get it notarized, which I did at UPS. $20, by the way. Got it notarized, and bang, went back up there. And the new trust with the new laws and the new exemptions has it stated the Texas Homestead Exemption explicitly in the document. So why is that important? Because without that language inside of that trust, and again, this is just my experience. They told me that without that language, I wouldn't be able to reapply for the exemption. Thus, now when I go back up there, she said, "Oh, well, now it's no longer on your property, and you have to reapply." I already had my stuff there anyway, so I reapplied, got it, and they're gonna put it back onto the property. So I said all that to say this. It's important to make sure that if you are doing these moves, like for example, what I did, I moved my house inside the trust. And I want to make sure that if I want to keep my exemption, to have that exemption language if you're here in Texas. Now, to make sure we're not jumping over the bounds of the unauthorized practice of law, UPL, not like your UCL or your PCL, but UPL. I just gave you my scenario, explained my scenario, what they were looking for, why they were looking for it. Boom. Not telling you what you need to do. But here's the real risk. Now, we talked about the exemption going from $40,000 to $100,000, which is a big deal, right? The tax exemption. Now, if we combine those two things, we have increased tax savings, increased enforcement, and you get this: more people are receiving notices. They told us back in 2024, you know what? It's only going to be roughly 30,000 homeowners in Texas that are going to receive these notices. Funny story. It's a 5-year period, right? They said every 5 years. Let's just go back. So the original legislation read every homeowners in Texas will have to reapply for a homestead exemption every 5 years. But they thought that was too strenuous. They said, okay, certain homeowners will have to reapply every 5 years. What's going on right now is notices are being sent to people, and it's just they're just picking and choosing. There's no real, I don't think there's any real purpose around it outside of them saying, okay, we need to make sure that who owns the home or who the person that lives there is still alive, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They're trying to get fraud out of the system. I get it. But if you're sending these notices to everyone, how much fraud are you going to find? You may find some for sure, but is it enough to offset the cost of the actual program? I highly doubt it. But again, more people are receiving notices, more people are needing to prove eligibility, more people are losing exemptions simply because they didn't respond, like my parents. This isn't theoretical. I'm seeing it. So let's just be clear. This law, 2024, is impacting a lot of Texans. People having to take time, going to the appraisal district, getting things back in their system. But now that's absent trust. That's absent moving the property into the trust like I did. This is just basic everyday 101. Now let's layer the trust in. Over the last few years, people have been told, put your home in the trust, avoid probate. Again, that's fine. Again, I'm not telling you what to do. But when you transfer your home in a trust, the ownership structure changes, right? The title changes. And from the appraisal district's perspective, that can trigger a review. And now you're in the system. You may get a letter that says, confirm your homestead eligibility. If you miss it, ignore it, or don't understand it, you're now on the clock if you miss it twice. So the double hit, here's the worst case scenario. You moved your home in a trust. The trust doesn't clearly show you right to occupy the property. And again, it's going to say the right to occupy, rent-free, live indefinitely. You receive these notices and you don't respond. You now lose your homestead exemption, your tax cap protection, and your taxable value resets higher, which means more money out of your pocket. But you're in the back of your mind, you think, well, nothing's really changed. But if you have a mortgage, you'll definitely see it change. So here's what Texas actually requires. Texas just doesn't care about title. They care about your right to live in the home. You must show present right to occupy property, exclusive use, primary residence, rent-free occupancy. If your trust doesn't clearly state that, you may be exposed. So why is this happening more now? This is happening more now, like I mentioned before, because exemptions are larger, tax savings are bigger, appraisal districts are paying closer attention, and they're using these notices as a filter. If you respond, you're fine. If you don't, they assume you no longer qualify. So what should you do? Open your mail. Seriously. If you're older, get with your children so they can help you. If you get a homestead notice, respond immediately. If your home is in a trust, review the language. Make sure it clearly states your occupancy rights. If you've already lost it, reapply, fix the structure. It's very, very important. This can be several thousands of dollars each year that you don't have to pay as long as you can keep your homestead exemption in place. So in closing, Texas gave you property tax relief. Well, it's property, and they're just taxing us for property, so I don't know how much giving it actually is, but they gave us property tax relief. They also raised the bar on compliance. Don't lose a benefit you already earned because you ignored a letter or your documents didn't line up. Planning isn't about paperwork, it's about coordination. It's important to have a team of financial professionals, an attorney, a CPA, a financial advisor, investment advisor, insurance agent, what have you. Have your team in place so these mistakes can be buffeted as quickly as possible. Thank you guys for listening. Subscribe to the channel. Don't forget my book, MLB to CFP, live on Apple and Amazon. You have any questions, comments, concerns, you can email us at info@99capitalgroup.com. Send us your questions. Go to the website at www.99capitalgroup.com. Schedule your appointment. As you know, we're here to do what? Educate, empower, engage, and also entertain. Follow us on all social media channels at 99cap or at MLB to CFP. And subscribe to our Substack. Now what? This was the Texas two-step. I ain't got my hat on or my boots, but I'll tell you what. Don't lose your exemption here in the great state of Texas, because it's important that we have all of our rights and privileges and we love one another. Thank you guys for listening. Stay humble, stay safe. I'll see you again soon.